Alright, hello people. Definition here. My third time recording this video. I should have stopped after the first attempt. Basically, I ran into a bunch of problems. And the fact is that I'm only recording this because I was bored, didn't feel like playing video games, but I wanted to record something. I didn't know what. I was working on this at the time, so I figured, what the hell, I'll record myself trying to explain the process of making this. And this is my third time trying it because the first two times the video fucked up. First Camtasia fucked up, and I had to uninstall it and reinstall it. And this time it didn't record any of the audio for some reason unknown to me. So this is the third time. Everything's working as far as I know. Should be fine. So let's explain this all again for the third time, and hopefully this time you guys will actually get to hear it. Anyways, like I said, I was bored. I wanted to record something, and I was working on this, so I figured I would kind of show and explain what it's like, the process and everything that I go through when I make one of these. I know you guys did see the video. I did upload a video of what it looked like after I was done, and that was with fighting from FF7. But it didn't really show or explain how I do it. It just showed what it looked like after it was done. So I'll go ahead and semi-explain what I can on how it's done, and some of the kind of like a semi-music theory tutorial, which really shouldn't be done by me because I'd never taken any official classes or had any official teaching of music theory on in itself. What I know is what I've had to teach myself and what I've had to look up to find out. So, needless to say, my music theory is mediocre at best. But sorry, spoken. Anyways, I do use sheet music. This is sheet music for Crest from Final Fantasy X-2. From the piano collections, as you see up here. I have it on my computer, so I can. It's easier for me to see, so because I can zoom in and zoom out. I have really bad eyesight, so instead of straining my eyes trying to see it in the book, I just have it on my computer. So, okay, I did these two measures on the first recording, and then these two measures on the second recording. So it looks like you guys get to watch me do the fun part, which would be I'll probably just do the one measure because these have eighth note triplets. And as I said, each video, the most pain in the ass part about doing these are triplets, because, well, let me explain the notes first. Now these notes each all have a length, of course, and this isn't 3/4 time. I'm not used to doing 3/4 time on FL Studio. I'm used to doing 4/4 time, and I'll kind of show why here. The grid on the piano roll for FL Studio is a lot easier to work with when it's 4/4 time, because each segment here is a beat, and these black lines, these thicker black lines, kind of separate your bars. And it's numbered up here, so it shows you. So this is bar 1, bar 2, bar 3. Now these thinner lines, as you can see, I'll go up here where there's not any notes. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are your 4 beats for that one measure. So this here, from here all the way to here, this is a whole note, by the way, because it takes up all 4 beats. This is one measure of what you would read on a staff. My cigarette went out, so I'll just put it down for now. Okay. Now these are eighth notes. Eighth notes look like this. Quarter notes look like this. And half notes, you already know what a whole note looks like. Half notes look like this. We won't be working with whole notes on this since it's 3/4 time. Now back to what I was originally saying. Why it's a little more different for me to work with 3/4 time is because it doesn't snap together. It doesn't fit in this little thing as neat as a 4/4 time would, and I'm kind of OCD about things being neat and fitting perfectly, and it's just not the case for 3/4 time, as 3/4 time would be 1, 2, 3. So right here, this is one measure for 3/4 time, and then the new bar would start here, so it would look like this each time. This is 3 measures. So if I come down here and look at this, this here was one measure, and then this started the new measure right here. That said, and the notes explained now, as you can see, again, quarter note, quarter note, quarter note. This is a dotted half note. Now a dotted half note would be a half note plus a quarter. So this is a half note. This is a half note dotted. Because dotted notes are, I believe, value in a half. So if it was a quarter note, it would be a quarter note plus an eighth note. So that would be a dotted quarter note. Triplets, eighth note triplets, as I will come back over here and show you. This here, let me highlight this. These here are eighth note triplets. Actually, this is this here is part of the eighth note triplet. It's a tied note. It was a half note tied into an eighth note triplet. Now, an eighth note triplet is kind of a pain in the ass because eighth note triplets don't snap to the grid like these quarter notes, half notes, whole notes do. Instead, you have to come up here, change your build to 1/6 step, and slide it. See, it's harder to work with because you've got so much, it doesn't stop on even lengths. So you kind of have to go all the way back to right about there. Let me look again. Yeah, that should be about right. Let's find out here. Move this back. Move this back. Yep. There you go. And that is a eighth note triplet. It's an eighth note where in threes, because triplets, of course, in threes, triplet being 3, have to take up the same value as a quarter note. So if we match those up, there's your 3 eighth notes taking up the same amount of value as a quarter note. And it's just kind of a pain in the ass because I always work in half steps and I have to keep switching back and forth between 6 steps. I obviously don't drag out the length of a 16th an eighth note triplet each time I come to it. I can click it and it'll copy the length, but I still have to come down and change it to a 1/6 step because otherwise it won't it won't snap to the 1/6 step otherwise, and it won't match up. So anyways, the other thing about FL Studio, the piano roll kind of helps you out a little bit. If you guys decide to do this, I'm assuming otherwise you wouldn't be watching it probably. It's a lot easier to tell. It's got this grid's got helpers on it. Basically, these darkened areas, you can see they're dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light. And if you don't know anything about the piano, if you do know anything about the piano, you'll catch on by the spacing of the dark notes. If you don't, basically these signify the white keys and the black keys. These sharp and flat notes. These dark areas here are the sharp or flat notes. These white keys, of course, are the light areas. And that kind of helps you figure out where stuff is. If you know where your middle C is at, roughly, you can say up here, C5. Yep, that's C5. C5 is your middle C. So you know where these 2 light keys are. There's only 4 light keys that touch, and that's C, B and C, and E and F. So, and then there's this line right here that kind of tells you that this is C. So this here is your middle C. And so it's a little easier. Otherwise, you have to come up here and kind of bring your keyboard closer to where you are so you can match it up or follow it over. But these dark and light grids up here kind of help you. That said, let's go ahead and let's just do one measure because hate working with triplets. Ugh, they're a nightmare. The first time I ever ran into a triplet, I fucking exhausted my brain trying to figure out the lengths. And because at the time I didn't know a triplet was supposed to take up the same value as a quarter note. So it took me forever. I just kind of had to deduce that it was in 4 time. Things weren't matching with those eighth notes, because at first I thought they were just regular eighth notes. And I put on the eighth notes. I'm like, whoa, I got way too many notes on here. This isn't right. So I eventually looked it up to see that it was a triplet and that it had to take up the same amount of space as a quarter note, and then kind of figure out the lengths on my own. So let's go ahead. Let's just do the left hand first and get that out of the way. Then we'll move on to the triplets, I suppose. This I haven't done it yet, but there's if you can see right here is a line. These are dash notes, which means it's kind of played a little bit longer. It doesn't actually change the value. So after an eighth note, I don't know if I just called these quarter notes or not, but they're eighth notes. So after the duration of the eighth note, this is going to be played after an eighth note time still. It's just that this tone is probably going to overlap this tone a little bit. It's going to be played a little longer. It's a legato, I think someone told me. Legato, and then the dotted ones. There's a dot atop of it. It means it's played shorter, but it still contains the same value as an eighth note or quarter note or whatever's dotted. Those are called staccato. I'm pretty sure it's what someone said to me anyways. I don't know the names that well. I know what they mean. I just don't know the technical terms for them, really. Anyways, what was I doing? We're going to do this. Okay, so this is A, E, A, B, C. A, E, A, B, C. Don't forget that. So let's go down here. This is our lower C. A, E, A, B, C. So we'll go A. Oh, shit. There we go. A, E, A, B, C. I think that was supposed to be a quarter note too, right there. If you're trying to follow along with this and you're like, oh, those aren't the right keys, they're all flats. Everything is played as a flat unless stated otherwise right next to it. Which hasn't been very often on this piece. Everything pretty much has always been flat. There's maybe one or two F naturals, but not very many. So of course, A flat, E flat, A flat, B flat, C flat, and since C doesn't actually have a flat, it's just B. And that's the same thing with F, and F flat is actually an E. So I think I'm about to get a visitor from somebody here. So we got I forgot what I was completely doing now. Shit. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and do these eighth note triplets. Anyways, what was I talking about? Eighth note triplets. So we're gonna do. Now remember, these got to take up the same amount of time as a quarter note. So you got one quarter note, one quarter note. 3 quarter notes is your full 3 beats for a 3/4 time measure. So we got E, B, C. So let's put those in. Let's click this so I don't have to drag it out and change it down to 6 step. And it's E. I can't remember if it was C5, E's. I think it was this E up here. E. Let's look again because I don't remember. Yes. E, B. See, I'll just do it this way because these notes are so small. Well, it's not the notes are small. It's just they're 6 step, and sometimes I'll move them when I don't want to move them. So what I'll do is I'll just highlight them and shift click down, and it's supposed to go to B. So E, B, down one more. I'll click on this one and then take it back up to C. Whoop, wrong button. So now we got E, B, C, and those are matched up perfectly. And then we'll go down here, which we got E, A, E. This will be a little bit easier. So we'll go E, where am I at? Right here, E, and I'll just put E, E. This is supposed to be an A, so I'll change this up to, am I on the right one? Yeah, I am. Up to A. Down one, there we go. Now we'll go do the last set of triplets here, which is D, E, A. And I'll just put them all on D. Back one, D, whoops, and, oh, son of a bitch. Okay, I said these were D, E, A, right? Yes, D, E, A. So move these up. D, whoa, wrong button again. D, E, and A. A. And then this is what it'll sound like. Now if we move this back, sometimes I'll fuck up and I won't know it. Like instead of putting it on a E, and when it was an F flat, instead of putting it on E and I put it on F on accident, I won't know until I play over it and I hear it and I'm like, okay, well that doesn't sound right. And I have to go and look through it and I'm like, oh, okay, well that was supposed to be on E since it's an F flat, and I put it on F. So I do a lot of, usually after about every two measures, I'll go back, hit space, and kind of listen to it and see what it sounds like. That still sounds weird. I don't know why. I'm sure it's right. It's just probably because it's being hammered on the keys, and because it stops, you know, a quarter away through that one staff. So I'm sure when I finish these, it'll probably sound a little more natural. It's I don't like triplets. I hate triplets. Hate triplets. Hate triplets. Hate triplets. Actually, let's go ahead and do this next measure as well, because looks like this one, this is the only one that changes. So I'll show you what I do when I see a lot of repeating notes. You know, if one measure is the same as the other measure, what I'll do is copy, paste, bring this over to here, and I already know this last one's going to be different, so I'll just move this down and move this down, because I already know these three and these three are the same as over here. It looks like, yeah. Okay, so these ones are different. So this is F, A, and C instead. So we'll highlight these and move these up to F, or E, since that's F flat. F, A, and C. And this down here, of course, is different. This is F, C, F, G. So let's do F, C, F, G. Let's change this back to half step. Okay. And it is down here. Alright, so go F, C, F, G, and then I believe it was C. Let's make sure that's right. F, C, F, G, C. Quarter note, yep. So now it sounds like, kind of sounds weird. I don't know. I'll look over to make sure it's right later again. But no, I'm not gonna do these yet. I'll do these on my own later. So, anyways, that's kind of it's kind of what it looks like while I'm doing it. I fucking keep clicking that. I keep meaning to click Camtasia. Oh, I can't remember if I explained the velocity in this one. I've explained this so many fucking times that I can't remember. I don't think I did because I still have that shrink. What I plan to do later also is mess with the velocity, and I brought this up so you can see this a little better. These are the velocity levels, and the velocity is how hard or soft a key is being pressed. And normally when you do it this way, before you fuck with anything, obviously I'd already messed with those, but this is the default velocity level, and it's pretty much saying that these keys are being hit pretty hard. I did switch these already. See how these sound? As compared to these. So these are a lot louder. It just kind of sounds like the keys are being hammered on, as opposed to over here where it kind of sounds more like they're being lightly pressed. And of course the velocity levels are different for each note, just to kind of sound a little more human rather than robotic. Also, what I plan on doing, if you didn't notice, how these notes kind of drug out more than these notes, even though they're the same note. Excuse me, they're all eighth notes. These were being played a little longer. Because when you listen to someone play a piano, even though there's a definite tempo to a piece, depending, I mean, jazz is a lot different. It can be fast or slow, but a lot of pieces have tempo changes in them too. But a lot of pieces, and this piece specifically, also the tempo is 108 BPM according to the sheet music. Quarter note value being 108 beats. Even with this piece being played, when you hear someone actually playing this piece, and a lot of times if they're putting a lot of emotion into it, a lot of feeling into it, they're putting themselves into the music rather than just playing what they see on the sheet. They will play some notes slower than others to kind of put more emphasis on the note, because this is kind of this is a bit more solemn of a song. It's not exactly sad, but it is a slower piece. So you want to put that emotion into it, that just kind of somber feeling in it. And a lot of people, when they do that, they'll play certain notes slower. And when I watched this specific person play it, I noticed that on these high G flat notes up here, they were playing those a lot slower. So on these myself also, I did that too. I just kind of emulated it for the time being. I will do it more myself as the piece goes on, and I didn't go past, I think, the sixth bar, probably. Yeah, I think I stopped around the sixth bar when I was playing with the tempo. Instead of dragging out the notes, it's a pain in the ass. I mean, I could just take the note and drag it out to make it play longer, but then I'd have to move everything. If it's a whole chord being played, I have to change the length of the whole chord, otherwise it's going to be off time. And it's just kind of a pain in the ass, because every time I do that, I have to move all this after it over, and that's too much work. So instead, I decided to automate the tempo. So as you can see here, it's changed up here right now, but if I were to move it over, it's 108. But I started off at 94, goes up to 108, comes down to 95, back up to 108, and I'll kind of show you what that looks like. And just listen to these high G flats up here, that how much slower they're being played as opposed to the other eighth notes. Also watch up here. And I noticed on this last one, it's kind of clashing. The velocity is really high, even though it's being played slower. I probably should lower the velocity. Obviously, if you're banging on the key, it's probably not being played too slow. So I also changed that. Those are the small things you kind of have to listen for. listen to it and be like, oh, is this what it would sound like if someone was playing it? You know, would this key sound like it's being mashed on even though they're playing it slower for a more somber song? No, probably not. So, you know, when I've actually finished this and actually go through it to change tempos on certain places and mess with the velocity, because I'll probably change that velocity down because I do want it played slower, but if it's going to be played slower, that key's probably not going to get mashed on like that. So yeah, I think that's about it there. Again, I'm not going to record myself making this whole thing because, you know, it doesn't look like a lot. I mean, when you look at it, it really doesn't look like a lot. But when you're actually doing it, it does take a long time. Not from where I've left off, but this piece as a whole will probably end up taking me a good 7-8 hours to do. I know One Winged Angel that I finished. I haven't uploaded it yet. I will, but when I did the piece for One Winged Angel, that took me 22 hours. Granted, that is an exceptionally difficult piece for me, anyways. I mean, I'm sure people will be like, that song, whatever. I can play that with my fucking eyes closed or play with my toes or some shit. I don't know. Oh, it was a harder piece for me. And there was a lot of tempo changes in it, a lot of triplets. It was an all around difficult piece. But obviously not all pieces are going to take 22, 28, 84 hours to make. God, I hope not 84 hours. But it does take a long time. So I'm not going to do the whole thing. If people want to see me make a whole piece, it's if they're interested. If you guys are interested, you got to let me know, because if you don't let me know, I'm not going to do it. But if you guys do want to see something like that, let me know. I'll record. I won't do it all in one sitting, but I'll record all the times that I come back to it and make it. And you guys can see, watch a time lapse of me doing the piece. And maybe also when it's done, I'll have the actual finished project playing through the duration of the time lapse, so you can hear it as I'm making it via time lapse. But you guys gotta let me know. If you don't let me know, you know, if I come back to this video in a week's time and no one's posting any comments, I'm gonna say, oh, these people aren't interested, I'm not gonna make anymore. So if you guys actually want to see and hear some more, you guys gotta let me know. Also, if you want to see me, or if you want to request a piece, especially if it's from the Final Fantasy piano collections, because I have the piano collections. You know, I own the piano collections. So if you have a piece from the piano collections you want to see done, let me know. Obviously, I'll let you know if it's one I've already done, and I'll just upload it. And you won't be able to see a time lapse, because I'm not going to do it again. As much as I like doing it, if I've already done a piece, I'm not doing it again. Just because it takes so long, and I've got other pieces to do, so... But also, if there's any piece that you want to hear, it doesn't necessarily have to be from Final Fantasy VII, any Final Fantasy. But if there's a piece that you like from any video game or anime or movie or an actual song, you know, if you want to hear anything, you know, if it's Alanis Morissette on a piano, chances are I probably have the sheet music for it. I'm pretty sure I have sheet music for a lot of her songs. So, yeah, any song, and I can find sheet music for it, I'll do it. I'll record it. I'll do a time lapse and put it on there. I'll put the requester's name on the video. But again, you guys got to let me know, because if you don't, I'm not going to waste my time doing it, because it takes a long time. I got to invest a lot of time in doing this stuff. So if no one's interested, I'm not going to do it. So let me know if you like it, rate it, comment it, subscribe to me if you're not already subscribed to me. And until next time, guys, I'll see you later.